Next case is cause number M333-700. Case is style of state of Texas versus Crystal Lynette Sands. Ms. Sands, you can come forward. Ms. Sands, your full name is Crystal Lynette Sands?
Yes.
How you doing, Ms. Sands?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Ms. Sands, you're representing the case by your attorney, Mark Faggart. Attorney Faggart, how are you doing?
I'm good, Your Honor.
State is represented in this case by Attorney Kobe Harper. Mr. Faggart, I have before me a motion to dismiss that was filed in this case by the state. Is that correct? Okay, and the court had just signed that motion to dismiss. Ms. Sands, you have, this case has been dismissed. Your attorney is going to get a copy of your dismissal. Want to get a copy? Once he give you a copy of your dismissal, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Okay, get it from our court partner. Mr. Hall, are you? He's waiting to talk to one of the prosecutors? Okay. And we have Mr. Lewis.
I'm there discussing this.
Okay. Y'all may see. Rojas. This is cause number M332902. Case of style of state of Texas versus Fernando Cabrera. Mr. Cabrera, is that your full name? How are you doing, Mr. Cabrera? That's good. Mr. Guerrero, there's a note on the docket sheet that said this is your final reset to hire. Your attorney, have you hired your attorney? Okay, why haven't you hired your attorney?
I haven't had the money to.
Okay, now, the court also informed you, I guess on more than one occasion, that you have three options regarding your right to have an attorney. Number one, you can hire an attorney. Number two, if you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can request that an attorney be appointed to represent you. Or number three, you can waive your right to an attorney, that is, give up your right to have an attorney and represent yourself. Okay? So what do you want to do?
What would I have to do to get an attorney?
Well, you have to fill out a financial, there's a form you have to fill out. And then we have to look over that form to see if you meet the eligibility requirements based on your answers in the form, okay? So you want to see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney? Okay, just have a seat and the bailiff is going to bring out the paperwork to you. There will be two documents. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights of Defendants Without an Attorney. That's the same document that you had previously filled out. On the previous document, you stated that you wanted to hire an attorney. On the document that we're going to give you today, you need to put your initials on the line that state you want to request a court-appointed attorney. And then you'll sign it at the bottom and date it today's date, and today's date is September 29, 2023. The other document that the bailiff is going to give you is titled Jefferson County Affidavit of Indigence. And on that document, you have to fill out the top part that talks about your name, your address, whether or not you're married, whether or not you have any children, whether or not you work. And then you're going to fill that information out at the bottom of the document. On the left-hand side, it will ask for information regarding income, whether or not it'll ask basically how much money you make a month, your take-home pay, and it'll also ask, whether or not your spouse works and what the take-home pay is, and if you receive any type of governmental benefits. And then on the right-hand side at the bottom, it will, you have to list whatever bills that you have or expenses. For example, if you're buying a home, renting a home, it also asks about your income that you're paying for food, your utility bills, and whether or not you're paying child support. All of that information is on there. So what you need to do, if you need any help filling out the documents, just let us know, and we have someone here on our staff who will be willing and able to help you. Okay?
Yeah.
So what you can do, she put the clipboard up before you. Have a seat in that chair at the table, and you can take your time and fill out the information on the information that's on the clipboard. Okay? And then when you finish, let us know. Then we're going to call you back up and we're going to go over it with you.
Thank you.
All right, all right, just have a seat. Linda?
Yes, sir.
That gentleman is standing up for some reason. Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in 2 cases. Cause number 23 CCCR 1040 and cause number 23 CCCR 1053. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Ricky James Fernandez Jr. Mr. Fernandez, is that your full name? How are you doing, Mr. Fernandez? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Fernandez. You're represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Willard Hall. Attorney Hall, how are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Mr. Hall, what is your announcement in Mr. Fernandez cases?
We have got all our discovery, spoken this morning with the prosecutor, Ms. Brooks, and I believe we're going to be asking for pre-trial diversion in this case.
So you just need to reset?
Yeah, if you don't mind. This is this is a 2023 case.
Okay,
If we could
Okay.
get 60 or 90 days, something like that.
what, December 11th? Yeah, that's more than 60. Yeah.
Miss Porter. Is it?
Okay, okay, this case will be reset, well, these cases will be reset to December 11th, 2023. Mr. Fernandez, your attorney is going to get your resets. Once you get your resets from your attorney, be free to go. You have a blessed day, Mr. Hall. You're free to go as well. You have a blessed day. You ready? Yes. Yes. Next, the next case is State of Texas versus DeQuincy Dwayne Johnson. Mr. Johnson, would you please come forward? This is cause number M329453, case is South of State of Texas versus DeQuincy Dwayne Johnson. Mr. Johnson, is that your full name? Okay. Mr. Johnson, how are you doing? That's good. Mr. Johnson, you're representing your case by your attorney, Attorney Marvin Lewis. Attorney Marvin Lewis, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Judge. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Lewis, what is your announcement in Mr. Johnson's case?
Judge, we have a agreement in place that would resolve this case, but we'll need some time for him to come up with the money for the fine, within maybe like 45 days. It's a significant amount, but he should be able to do that within that time period.
Okay, hold on, man.
I'm saying, what all y'all do is, we got, these are shorts.
What? Well, he wasn't supposed to, I didn't even see it. Yeah, bailiff, you're not allowed to have nobody come in and, yeah, you need to put on some pants. I understand, but we got rules. I mean, Ms. Bailiff, you need to make sure that the rules are enforced. If you're not, we got something for you in the back. Yeah, why don't you bring him in the back? I didn't even, yeah, yeah.
I like it.
That's his copy. That's okay. Court is back in session in clause number M329453, case of South State of Texas versus DeQuincy Dwayne Johnson. Mr. Johnson, I thank your attorney. Mr. Lewis has requested that your case be reset for at least 45 days to give you an opportunity to pay a fine and costs. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Give us a reset date. So it's gonna be more than the 45 days. So it's gonna be reset to December 8th of 2023. Now, before your attorney gives you your reset date, you have just been handed a document by our bailiff, and that document is titled Standard Bond Conditions and County Court at Law number 2. Do you see that title?
That's right.
And it reads as follows. Following return of a criminal information in County Court at Law number 2 of Jefferson County, Texas, all bail bonds executed for release of any defendant named herein or ordered subject to the additional conditions. Number 1, the defendant shall commit no offense against the laws of this state, any other state, or of the United States. Do you understand that condition?
Yes, sir.
Condition number 2, the defendant shall submit to testing for drugs and alcohol at any time as directed by the court. The court may revoke the bond and order the arrest of any defendant who A, refuses to submit to a test for drugs and alcohol when directed to do so by the court, or submit to a test for drugs and alcohol, and the test indicates the presence of drugs and alcohol in the defendant's body. You understand that condition?
Yes, sir.
Now, condition number 3 does not apply. Condition number 4 does not apply. However, condition number 5 does apply. And condition number 5 states that the defendant is prohibited from possessing a firearm or ammunition unless defendant is a peace officer as defined by section 1.07 Penal Code, actively engaged in employment as a sworn, full-time, paid employee of a state agency or political subdivision. Mr. Johnson, do you understand that
Yes,
condition?
sir.
Now, Mr. Johnson, if you violate any one of those conditions, your bond will be revoked, and if your bond is revoked, a warrant will be issued for your arrest and you'll be placed in the Jefferson County Jail. Now, your case, again, has been reset to December 8th. Your attorney will give you a copy of that reset date. You'll be free to go. Make sure that you return the pants before you leave. I know that you probably, they're not matching, but
Yes, sir.
they meet the requirements of the court. Okay? You can stand over there and get your reset.
Thank you.
Ballard, he's in the hallway. Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in 2 cases. Cause number M326996 and cause number M332430. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Glenn Paul Ballard. Mr. Ballard, would you please come forward? Okay, case is styled the state of, these cases are styled the state of Texas versus Glenn Paul Ballard. Mr. Ballard is president of court. Mr. Ballard, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Ballard. You're represented in your cases by your attorney Langston Adams. Attorney Adams is appearing via Zoom. Attorney Adams, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay. The state, we need a prosecutor.
Right here.
State is representing this case by attorney Kobe Harper. Attorney Harper, how are you doing?
How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Adams, what is your announcement in Mr. Ballard's cases?
Just gonna have one more announcement and I'll be done with that.
Okay, well, this right now, we see here's next week's gonna make a year that you've been appointed on these two cases.
I,
So
I
these ca-
promise you, I have it moved.
So we're gonna move it on the next court date?
Right, and that's it. You can put a note, no more.
Okay, so we're gonna set it for a plea on what date?
October 20th.
It's gonna be reset to October 27th for plea. Mr. Ballard, you're gonna get
Is
your
that a
resets.
Monday or Tuesday?
What day?
Well, it's actually on another Friday. You want-
It's on a Friday.
Can you do it on like a Monday or Tuesday when you got court?
Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, hold on a minute.
I can put it on October 30th.
October 30th,
Yeah, that's a Monday or Tuesday.
that's a Monday.
Monday, that'll be fine. I see y'all in.
Okay, this case we reset October 30th, 2023. Mr. Ballas, you're gonna get your resets. Once you get your resets, you'll be free to go. And we're praying that you have a speedy recovery. All right. Now, Mr. Adams, your reset will be sent to you. You're free to go and you have a blessed day.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Mr. Cabrera, you finished with the forms?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Cabrera, you can come forward. Bring the forms with you. Ms. Bailey? Could you get the form from Mr. Cabrera? Thank you. He must have filled out one of these before. Did you fill out one of these before? You didn't? Because I was looking at the amount, your income. Okay, let me do this.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Cabrera, I have before me two documents. First document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights Defendants Without Attorney. You recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line? It's titled Defendant.
Right.
And on this document, are these your initials that's on the line that say you want to apply for a court-appointed attorney? Also, you signed a waiver too. Got everything. I also have before me a document that is titled Jefferson County Affidavit of Engines. Do you recognize this document? On page 2 of this document, is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant's Signature? Now, Mr. Cabrera, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read these documents? Did you understand what you read? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Now, Mr. Cabrera, I read your answers in these documents. Based on your answers, apparently you don't meet the eligibility requirements. The reason why I asked if you had filled out before, I was looking at the amount of your income. And I was thinking, well, I see why he probably trying to hire because he didn't have you didn't meet the eligibility requirements with the amount of money that you're making. Six 20, 23. Have you tried to hire a lawyer?
Yes, sir. I had the money saved up, but I had a newborn last week,
Oh,
and my starter didn't have a truck, so my starter was $500, and I have my even all that from newborn. I'm gonna wait for the money I can save up.
Well, I mean, this case. Yeah, this case is a 2022 case. So you had talked to an attorney, and you had saved up money to hire the attorney. That's what you're saying? And then you had a child born. See when you first started trying to hire her. Yeah, you've been trying to, it's been over a year. September 21st of 2022 is when you first signed the judge's explanation of rights to defend the violence. So it's been a year.
It's funny, whenever my dad went through surgery, he got from out of pocket for his surgery for the.
Yeah, I understand that, but you need to, you're in trouble now. I mean, you coming out of pocket to pay to help other folks. You're not helping yourself. And apparently nobody is helping you. Okay? Because this case is just not gonna go away. It's not gonna go away by you not hiring a lawyer. Okay? So, at this time, like I said, you had the three options. Obviously, you didn't qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You haven't hired your attorney. And okay, let's do this. Give me 2 weeks to hire an attorney. Okay. Most lawyers, you don't have to pay them the full amount. They just normally they want a down payment. They call it a retainer fee.
He's asking for down, half down.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's more than one lawyer in town. Okay. So that lawyer, they may have another lawyer that might ask for less. I don't know, or ask for more. But you have to shop around, I guess, would be the best way to say it. Okay, so we're gonna give you 2 weeks. Okay. All right. Give him 2 weeks. You say you got a newborn? What was boy, girl? Boy? Okay, congratulations. Okay. Okay, Mr. Tuska? You and your client can come forward.
There's.
Thank you. Your client has an emergency.
Oh, yeah.
Like he said he had a situation with like a family member or something.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, Jefferson County Court at Law is in session in 2 cases, cause numbers M332598 and cause number M332600. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus Andrew Lakey. Mr. Lakey, how you doing? That's good, Mr. Lakey. You represented by your attorney Ryan Matuska. Attorney Matuska, how are you doing?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Matuska. What is your announcement in Mr. Lakey's case?
Your Honor, I have received the digital media and police reports in this case and prepared down with Mr. Lackey. We just haven't had an opportunity to do that today. If I could get one more recess.
How much time you need?
Just a standard 30-day recess.
October 27th.
Okay, these cases will be reset to October 27, 2023. Once you get your cases, once you get your case reset, Mr. Lakey, will you pronounce it Lakey or Lackey? Lakey, Mr. Lakey, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day, and we hope that your family member have a full and speedy recovery. You can get your reset, Mr. Matuska. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go as well. And you have a blessed day. You have a blessed day as well. Mr. Gap. Okay. Mr. Galmore.
I think if this is the sentencing hearing, we're waiting. I'm waiting on President Toby to come back down with my file.
Okay, now you,
Just a minute.
I thought you was talking to that guy too. Okay, we need to get a clerk. All right. The Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and calls number M331162. Case to style of state of Texas versus John Philip McDowell. Mr. McDowell, would you please come forward? Mr. McDowell, your full name is John Philip McDowell.
Correct.
How are you doing, Mr. McDowell?
Doing all right, and yourself?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. McDowell, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. McDowell, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Mr. McDowell, you may put your hand down. Mr. McDowell, you're represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Dustin Galmore. Attorney Galmore, how are you doing?
Great, Judge.
Mr. Galmore, do you have a record in Mr. McDowell's case?
We do.
Mr. McDowell, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that you, John Philip McDowell, on or about October 4th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated. Second, this information further alleges that prior to the commission of this offense, that you, John Philip McDowell, on May 1st, 2012, in County Court at Law number 2, Jefferson County, Texas, in cause number 288297, that, hold on a minute, that offense, that conviction, let me see, he was convicted in the cause number 288297, and you was convicted of the misdemeanor offense of DWI, or driving while intoxicated, and that conviction became final prior to the commission of this offense. Is that true or not true?
That is true.
Okay. Now, to the offense of driving while intoxicated, second, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, you're pleading no contest freely and voluntarily,
Yes, sir.
and are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McDowell, I also have before me document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. McDowell, there's a set of initials on the line next to a box that's checked nolo contendere, which means no contest. Did you place your initials on this document?
I did.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, this morning. Is this your signature or your initials on this one? Because your signature looks different on the next page.
I signed it quickly. I can re-sign if you.
No, is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
And on the next document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Okay. Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
I also have a document that's titled Discovery Certification. You recognize this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
It is.
Now, Mr. McDowell, before you signed and initialed these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did your attorney go over these documents with you?
He did.
Did you understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McDowell, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Well, state, I have before me, States Exhibit 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and States Exhibit 2, the proper cause affidavit. State, would you like to offer States Exhibits 1 and 2 into evidence?
Yes, Judge.
Any objections?
No objection.
No objections. States Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted into evidence. Mr. Galmore, you've advised in counsel, Mr. McDowell, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McDowell, your attorney, Mr. Galmore, has advised and counseled you Are you satisfied with his representation?
I am, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
He has.
Mr. McDowell, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for the defendant's plea of no contest, the state has offered 180 days in Jefferson County Jail over 1 year, $650 fine, 80 hours community service, interlock and UWI intervention program. He will start his 3-day mandatory jail time on October the 12th, at or before 6 p.m.
Actually, 72 hours a year.
Mhm.
Okay.
70.
And that's to begin when?
October the 12th at 6 p.m. by 6 p.m.
Okay. And you said it was a interlock, intervention, and the other standard terms and condition of probation.
Correct.
You know the court costs. Hold on, let me see. This is an older case. I'm probably have it up here.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. There we go. Okay, it's up here. This is 1072. They had that $100 crime lab in there. It doesn't? Let me make sure. Let me do this. That's 1072 minus 650. Yeah, okay, court costs is like 422. And 720, 180, 150. Okay. Right, yeah. 650. Plus 2. Okay. 7. Yeah. That's 1 year. Must be 1. Okay. Mr. McDowell, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve this 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail because it will be probated for 1 year. You'll be on probation for 1 year. during the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a probation fee. Well, you'll be required to pay a fine, $650, court costs of $422, a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, a crime lab fee of $100, a reimbursement fee of $15. You'll also be required to pay the DWI initial evaluation, DWI education initial evaluation fee on the day of the plea. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $190. You'll be able to pay the $190 each month.
Yes, sir.
You'll also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You'll be required to serve 72 hours in the Jefferson County Jail. And that's to start on October 12th of 2023 at or before 6 p.m. You'll be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. You'll be required to attend and complete DWI intervention class. And you'll also be required to adhere to the standard terms of DWI probation. Mr. McDowell, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
I do.
And do you accept the state's offer?
I do.
Mr. McDowell, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into to say. Mr. McDowell, this will conclude your case. You're going to stand next to the attorney, follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and cause number M327596. Case is filed the state of Texas versus Patrick Daniel Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher, would you please come forward? Mr. Gallagher, your full name is Patrick Daniel Gallagher.
Very good.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gallagher, how are you doing?
Great, how you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Gallagher, you're represented in your case by your attorney, Attorney Dustin Galmore. Attorney Galmore, how are you doing?
Great, Judge. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Mr. Galmore, you ready?
Yes, Judge.
Now, the state is represented in this case by Attorney Erica Porter. Ms. Porter, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Your Honor.
And Ms. Porter, are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Now, the court was previously in session in this case back in August 7 of 2023. The jury in this case found Mr. Gallagher guilty of DWI, on driving while intoxicated. The court reset the case for a pre-sentence investigation or PSI, and that was set for today. And today is also set Mr. Gallagher's punishment hearing. State, you may proceed.
Okay. State is not going to waive the open and reserve right to close. We're going to also ask the court to take notice of all evidence that was presented in the guilt innocent phase.
Okay.
Take judicial notice of the PSI that was in the court file that was already filed.
Offered and entered and the guilt
Right.
innocence be entered into the punishment phase
Okay,
as
so,
well.
so we're asking that everything that was offered and entered in the guilt innocent be entered into the punishment phase.
Okay.
And
And-
go ahead.
Okay, it will be entered. No objections.
No objection.
And we're also asking for the court to take judicial notice of the PSI and of the court's file.
Look, let me do this here now. Mr. Galmore, have you received a copy of pre-sentence investigation report?
Yeah.
Do you have any objection to the finding, conclusions, recommendations in the in that report?
We do not.
And Ms. Porter, you received a copy of the pre-sentence investigation report.
I have, yeah.
Do you have any objections to
No
the finding,
objections.
conclusions, recommendations?
No.
Anybody have any additions or deletions?
No, Your Honor.
No.
No? Okay. So the court is going to take judicial notice of the pre-sentence investigation report that has been filed in this case, cause number M327596. Now, Ms. Porter, you may proceed.
Okay, and the state is going to author what has been marked as state's exhibit number 8. It should be the next exhibit that falls in line. And we're gonna, it is a certified copy of a judgment, previous DWI that occurred in Jefferson County under cause number 302137.
Okay, hold on a minute.
I'm gonna tender it to defense for inspection.
No, it's for the 150. She wants to bring it from the company, so. Red has to be certified.
So you want me to say
Yeah, well, it's a copy from the clerk's office. If we need to pull the actual card, we can go do that. But this wasn't.
No objection.
Oh,
Okay, no objections to state's exhibit number 8. And let me see the information.
but yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
she did this.
correspond.
Yes.
Okay, and so inside of that is a judgment that provided notice because it was in the enhancement paragraph, and that's the judgment in that paragraph.
Okay, so we're saying that this is a judgment that is that corresponds with the conviction that is stated in enhancement paragraph and cause number M3275996. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and there was no objections? All right,
State this.
state res, okay. Let me get this. And Mr. Galmore, state, you like to present any evidence or make an argument?
No evidence, Your Honor, just argument at the appropriate time.
You may,
We're gonna waive open and reserve the right to close.
okay, Mr. Galmore?
Yes, Judge. Your Honor, this DWI is a second DWI, so obviously he is required to do the 72 hours of jail. He is respectfully asking the court to allow him to do that starting on October the 21st. Let me make sure that is a Saturday. I believe it is, but yes, on October 21st at 6 p.m. The reason, Your Honor, is because he does have a very good job that he's worked at for a very long time. How long have you been at Exxon? 20 years. 20 years. So it's certainly, he does not want to jeopardize his job. He does have children, kids. Now they are older kids, but he does help support them. And so we're asking that he be allowed to do his jail time on that weekend. The only other thing I'd like to just point out, Your Honor, is that he doesn't have any other criminal history besides the first DWI. He successfully finished his probation last time, so I don't think there's any concern here about him finishing his probation. He no longer drinks because of this incident, so I don't think we're going to have to worry about him reoffending or violating his probation in any way. He's obviously going to have an interlock for the term of probation, and he's more than happy to do that. The remainder of the PSI, Your Honor, I believe is very favorable to Mr. Gallagher. He really is a good guy, and he's really done good in life. And so we're just asking the court to give him a year of probation, a fine of $1,000.
Okay.
And all of the other standard conditions of the DWS, I guess.
Okay, state.
Okay, I'm reading the PSI. It appears that Mr. Gallagher has an assessment score for his TRAS at moderate to high. Taking that into consideration, and he does have a previous DWI. The good thing is he's gainfully employed, and he also successfully completed probation. He doesn't have any other criminal history. However, we have to think about the safety of the community as well. The state requests that he do serve the mandatory 3 days in jail, and also recommends that he be placed on probation, interlock, DWI intervention, fine of at least $750, 80 hours community service, and court costs and any other condition with DWI. Any other DWI standard conditions.
Now, you said probation, do you had a length
180 over 1 year.
of a year?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I looked at the PSI. I don't know if it was a typo or not. When they talked about he was married twice, and it was 2 different people, but there's the length of the marriages had the same time. 2005 to 2011 for both of them. That's on page 3. I know one of them had to.
Well, that's legal where he lives. No, I'm sure that's a typo.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at that. I just had a note when I placed my stickers on there. Now, I do know, I did I did talk to the probation officer that did the PSI. Okay. And the reason why I talked to him because when I looked at the PSI, it was real thorough. And I commended him on that because a pre-sentence investigation report like this gives the court everything that it needs to determine what or decide what a punishment will be in the case. And so basically, it was a very good PSI. It gave the court a lot of insight into your personal life, your background, etc. Now I do know that let's see, let me get that. There's been some concern with the I guess the THC that when they tested, you tested positive. I know you gave an explanation saying what the reason why it was there. I think it was a CBD vape or something that you told them that was the reason for it. But so what the court and what the court wants to do, make sure we address any concerns or needs that you have to make sure that you'll be rehabilitated and be an asset and a benefit to the community in which you live in. Now, the court is going to start off by saying your punishment is going to be 180 days, Jefferson County Day probated for 1 year. Okay, both parties agreed on 1 year. The fine is going to be $1,000 fine plus court costs. You will be required to serve 72 hours in the Jefferson County Jail as a condition of your probation. And that jail time is to begin on October 21st, 2023 at or before 6 p.m. Okay. Now, and the court has also taken into consideration the facts, everything that the court heard during this trial. Now, the court is aware of your stable employment, and that was pointed out by your attorney. The conditions that the court is going to assess, you'll be required to have an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. You'll also be required to do 80 hours of community service. You'll be required to adhere to a referral to the mental health services and comply with the resulting recommendations, including but not limited to participation in the treatment and remaining medication compliant. You'll be required to pay for a substance abuse assessment that was conducted on, it was August the 10th when they had that, and follow the recommendation of the treatment plan and pay all associated costs as directed by the supervising officer. Now, this is a second, so he'll be required to attend the DWI intervention. Attend and complete the DWI intervention class. Complete the victim impact panel as directed by the supervisor and provide proof of attendance. You'll be required, like in all cases, to submit to random drug testing and breath testing as directed by the supervision officer and never have a positive result on either? Now, if it's later determined to be appropriate by your supervising officer in conjunction with the professional opinion of a licensed clinical clinician, interns is to complete an intensive outpatient treatment program, comply with all rules. So if that is determined to be by your probation officer, maybe while you're on probation that you may need that, then that will be done. Okay. Now, this is the ruling. Let me see. Oh, you'll also be required. Now, there should be a fee for the paying for the PSI. PSI free. And that would also be a requirement of the, you reimburse the county for the fee that it had to incur. Okay. And that is the ruling. And this is the DWI second. So this is a ruling of the court. And again, Mr. Gallagher, based on this pre-sentence investigation report, the probation officer seemed to think that you are a good candidate, seemed to think that you should complete the probation without any trouble. Okay, so again, Mr. Gallagher, good luck. You're gonna stand in front of our court clerk when she's ready for you. She's gonna take you just follow her directions. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day. And Mr. Galmore, you'll be free to go as well, and you have a blessed day.
Judge, you have a good one.
All right, thank you.
We're off the way, and then you don't have.